Galimera, Galispera, Galinichta, no matter where in this wild, wacky, and sometimes wonderful world you might be, thank you for making the Highbury Squad part of your day. We made it to the end of another week, and we have one of your favorites and one of your not so favorites at Squad Central this evening. Let's rock and roll, squaddies.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
It sure does begin now. He is back and he is ready to let rip with his Get Off the Pottsy. Welcome back to Squad Central, Mr. Dan Potts.
Big up. Pleasure to be here. Absolute pleasure. Yeah, man, I'm really good, man. I had a good Christmas and New Year. So, yeah, I'm happy, man. Got background music going on and everything here. Happy New Year to all you squaddies, man, because I haven't been on for a while. And the last time I appeared in any kind of format was doing the 12 days of Christmas Arsenal, I think it was called. So that was fun. And I hope you've had a good Christmas and New Year, people, and you as well. So pleasure to be back on.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you. And thanks for participating in the Christmas Arsenal. I thought you had some bangers in there. And we always appreciate your time, Pottsy. And welcome, squaddies, at ease to those listening on our audio platforms on Apple and Spotify. Subscribe so you do not miss a show. As you know, with Get Off the Pottsy, we do something a little bit different when he comes on. We ask and pick a subject where he gives us his top fives. I don't know what his answers are going to be. So if I do have a picture of a player he's talking about, then we're lucky. If not, then we're shit out of luck. Tonight's subject, I threw out a few, and Dan picked the top 5 most important players for the Arsenal between now and May. Those that we cannot live without. Those that will drive this football club, hopefully, to a championship and a league title. Super Dan Potts. In no order. Are you going to do them in order, or are you just going to put them out there?
I can do them in order if you'd like. I'll go from 5 to 1. 1 being most important, and 5 being the important but not as important as the other 4. So, yeah, that's what we'll go with.
All right, then. Okay. Well, welcome, everyone. And to those who are listening on replay, because most of you will, because we don't usually broadcast at 6 p.m. UK time on a Friday, make sure you listen to our Chief Like Officer, Tammy Steels. Hit that like button. It helps the show. And many of you always leave your stamp in the YouTube comments, so make sure you do so this occasion too. Right, Super Dan. I'll put comments up as you go. Number 5.
This might be a shock because normally of the last few years he'd be number 1. I've gone for Starboy at number 5 because I don't feel like for the first season in what has been quite a long time that he is the most important player at the club anymore. And I think that's a compliment to Arsenal. I think it's good that the pressure's become less on Bukayo Saka. I don't think he's had the greatest of seasons. I must be honest. I don't think he has. But with Saka, when he has a bad game, he's still effective. He's still a threat. Some people didn't think he was great against Chelsea. I disagreed. I actually thought he was really good against Cucurella. I thought he had his number again. And he always looks a threat, Bukayo Saka. Whether or not it comes off with a shot, with a goal, with an assist, you've always got something in the locker with Bukayo Saka. And that's why when people were sort of calling out for Noni Madueke, maybe he should start now. I like Noni. I think he's done quite well. But I've just got to be honest. I personally feel like Saka is levels. And I still don't think that Saka's at his best, Sophie, if I'm honest. And I'm hoping that the second part of the season, we start to see him come into his best. I don't know if it's the injury. I don't know if it's a mix of a number of combination of things. But I certainly see him as one of the most important players at Arsenal still, certainly in an attacking sense. And although Trossard has definitely, I think, been our best attacker, I think Saka with his delivery and Saka with his threat going forward and with the fact that it's so important he starts because you're always going to have 2 players dragged out to that right-hand side for space elsewhere on the pitch. I think Saka definitely is still one of the most important players at Arsenal, and that's why he does make the top 5 just.
Yeah, it's it's funny that you say just because for so many years, Dan, he's been the savior, and for so many years, the football club he put the football club on his shoulders in a time where we really didn't love many of the players. Emil Smith Rowe and Saka emerged under Emery and really gave us something to kind of fall back in love with again. And real quick, I want to get this before you move to your next player. Is I feel like he's been the hero for so long that sometimes in games this season, he's unnecessarily tried to be the hero where he could be more of kind of the deliverer, right? The passing early, the passing sooner takes almost like a Martinelli he's morphed into in some games this season where he takes bad shots. But if anyone has earned the right to take those shots in this team, it's Saka. Do you like selfish Saka or do you feel like that's totally overblown?
I don't think Saka can be selfish all of the time. And that's why I like selfish Saka. Because I've got to be honest, I do feel personally there's a lot of disrespect on Bukayo Saka, particularly over the last few years from rival fans. I mean, he's not that great. He's overrated. Now, there are definitely sections of the Arsenal fan base that overrate him, that think he's Neymar, Ronaldo and Messi level. He's not, right? Let's just say it how it is. Saka is an unbelievably good footballer, but he's not going to hit those levels, in my opinion, because I think they are once in every 50 years, where you get Ronaldo and Messi. But when I look at what Saka has brought to Arsenal, people laugh when I say this. He's carried Arsenal. Now people go, carried you to do what? Because we haven't won anything, right? But actually, when you look at the importance and what we have achieved in the last few years in progress and trying to get better and trying to get across the line, we wouldn't have got anywhere near it without Bukayo Saka. So I do think that people sometimes poo-poo his ability and his threat. And I do feel like, without being too negative, the manager has not really helped things. I do think he's been overplayed. I do think he was a cause to that injury. And I understand you've got to play your important players, and people look at Salah and they look at Van Dijk at playing every single game. But, they're experienced individuals. Bukayo Saka is still 23, 24 years old. And I don't think he's been looked after in the last 4 years. I do think he's been overplayed. And when you do that to kids, they burn out. And unfortunately, he's got a grade 3 hamstring. Now, I don't feel like he's come back at his best yet. And people keep saying, well, Gabriel had the same injury. He's all right. It's different, Soph. He's not as explosive. That position's not explosive, is it, at centre-back? Bukayo Saka, we need him to be at the top of his game. And I hope that he does improve over the next few months, because for me, I think Bukayo Saka is so important to Arsenal. And I always want to see him playing and fit in the Arsenal side when he is available. So, I've gone for Bukayo Saka in 5.
Okay. Number 5, Bukayo Saka. Make sure that you keep yours coming into squaddies. A few coming in already from Shitanya. My top 5 players, crucial for the title, all attackers: Marino, Zubimendi, Eze, Gyökeres, Havertz. Kevin Harold says Saliba, Gabriel, Rice, Zubi, and Saka. Defenstration says Rice, Gabriel, Saka, Calafiori, Saliba, job done. Our chief like officer Tammy, Odegaard, I'm assuming Saliba, Gabby, Rice, and Timber. Ryan says David Raya. Cincinnati, Dan Potts was good on AFTV today. They should have got Wolfie on for the match preview, though. And then Peter, Raya, Saliba, Gabriel, Rice, Saka, reserves, Trossard, Martinelli. Who is number 4 on your list, Super Dan?
Number 4 is one player this season that has been so good but has not got any plaudits for some reason. Or he has got some, but probably not enough. I think this player is absolutely mustard. And when he doesn't play, I always worry. And that's William Saliba. Now, I think Saliba has kind of been gone under the radar because of how good Gabriel has been. And the amount of teams of the season so far that I see, and Saliba's left out. And I just don't quite understand why. I don't know what he's done this season that hasn't deserved to be seen as one of the best centre-halves in the European football at the moment. I don't know how good players like Mark Guehi or Maxence Lacroix or players like Malik Shaw have been looked ahead of him this season. I think William Saliba has been just as good as he's always been. The difference is Gabriel, alongside him, has been unbelievable for the last 18 months in terms of set pieces, offensively and defensively. And that's why people see him as better. But really and truly, William Saliba, if I was to say to anybody, there's an unbelievable amount of money, going by whatever centre-half you want in world football, I think everybody would pick William Saliba because of his age, his ability, his potential still, but his calmness and collectedness, composure on the ball. I don't think there is a player in the Premier League that does that. I think he is so calm and collected. And every time the ball comes near him, whether it's a duel or whether it's on his own, I just feel calm. He just calms me down. Now, let's be real, so for a lot of the people who will understand when they see this, well, I've gone to the Emirates and I've had to put up with players like Stepanovs and Senderos and Scalacci and Mustafi and these guys. They didn't fill me with a lot of confidence, right? And as much as I'm a fan of players like Chambers and Holding and what they did for Arsenal, let's be real, they were nowhere near that elite level. I think we've got a brilliant partnership and I don't want to be breaking it up. So Saliba comes in at 4 and I love what Saliba has said recently about we got a great partnership. We're a great side. It won't mean anything. I can't go pocketless again. And people take that in one way or the other. They might take that as oh my God, that means he's going then if we don't win something. I don't think it does mean that. I think what it means is I'm happy here. I believe we're going to win and we bloody better. Because it ain't good enough to go trophyless again. And I loved everything he said in that comment set. I thought it was excellent. Love the way he bigs up our players as well. Love the fact that he's given Timber a lot of praise, which I think is absolutely right to do. And I just think his attributes as a defender, I don't see a weakness, if I'm honest with you, Soph. I think Saliba's got everything in a centre-half. And he's everything that I want to be seeing. 6'4", strong, one-on-one duels, unbelievable. Aerial ability, his strength, his presence, his partnership. He's got some leadership qualities that might not be a captain, but they're definitely how to lead the back line and how to keep the back line defensively solid as a unit. I'm running out of superlatives from me year on year. I saw him in 2002 and thought, whoa, 2022, I should say. And I thought, wow, I haven't seen anything like him for a while. I think the last player I saw at that age, at 18, 19, that was that good was probably Rio Ferdinand. That we're going back sort of 30 years. I think he's outstanding, absolutely outstanding. So I'm a big fan of him, and I think that he's gonna go to kind of next level still. So yeah, big fan of Saliba.
Very praising there for Saliba, who has been in the shadow of Big Gabby in the last year or so. There's no doubt about that. I think they've both made each other even better and they complement each other really well. And I just wanted to riff off what you're saying here a little, Dan, and put Ryan's comment up. He's getting more forward now. I thought in our last game, he was our best forward passer. And I really do think that part of his game has improved a lot. The bringing the ball out of the back, but the passing and the range of passing as well that we've seen has really improved. And for me in the last match, I felt like we saw Silky Saliba, Rolls Royce Saliba, and his performance. I agree with you when there's so much narrative going on regarding the attack. He's kind of just working in the shadows when usually he gets all the praise all the time. So yeah, I agree with you on that. There's no Arsenal challenging without William Saliba. Right. Number 3. Well, hold on one second, Dan, because, you know, we're known to like a good sound effect on the channel now. So, number 3. Oh, I turned the volume down, of course. Let's do that again. One more time. Number 3.
Drum rolls, indeed. Number 3, I've been toying with a bit, actually. I have to do some honourable mentions at the end. But at number 3, I've gone with Zubimendi because I feel like this player's come in and, again, gone a little bit under the radar as how important he's made us. Now, people might talk about the player next to him, similarly to Saliba, more so, and I appreciate why. But I think he's got a lot to thank Zubimendi for, because I think he has been very, very good. I think he has been consistently good. I think he keeps the tempo going with Arsenal. I think he's got great passing ability on the ball. I think he's a hell of a lot more of an all-round midfielder than I ever give him credit for. I genuinely did believe he was a Rodri/Jorginho who sat in the 6 and just literally passed it left and right. Bit of a Xabi Alonso while he was at Real Sociedad. I thought, yeah, this guy's going to come in, be Thomas Partey, just a bit younger, and hopefully he's as good as him. I think he's been better. I don't think he's been defensively always better than Thomas Partey, because he was unbelievable, Partey, off and on the ball defensively in that 6. I think Zubimendi's taken us to a new level. I think he's allowed Declan Rice to play in more of a box-to-box role, which is something I was crying out for. I hated, in fact, hated in capital letters, the fact that Declan Rice was a Gerrard or Lampard. He is not. He's more of a Vieira, up and down. And Zubimendi's allowed him to showcase that, because I feel like Zubimendi has complemented him massively. And I think with Zubimendi, something that's definitely impressed me is I never thought he'd be a goal scorer, but he has been. We've seen him score goals. You see him, I think he scored a couple of goals at the start of the season against Nottingham Forest. He obviously got a goal against Aston Villa. He scored the other night against Chelsea, a very good goal, probably goal of the night. I've been massively impressed with Zubimendi's signing. And I actually didn't think he was going to come in and be someone that took us to a new level in midfield, because I've been kind of questioning the balance of the midfield under Mikel Arteta for quite some time. Even with Rice, I still think the best balance was probably the season in 22-23 where we had Partey, Xhaka and Odegaard. And that's now been taken over by this season with Zubimendi and Rice. And I truly believe that that signing has not been spoken about enough. And I'm talking about not just Arsenal, I'm talking about by the media, looking at signings that's coming in. People talk about Donnarumma and people talk about Man City signings in Reinders and in Cherki. And now they're going to be talking about Semenyo and Guehi, it seems. I think people will come in and talk about some of the signings that have been made. But for me, Zubimendi's been one of the best signings that Arsenal have made in a long time. I truly do really like him. And it's been strange because there's been quite a lot of Arsenal fans that have disagreed with me, that normally agree with a lot that I say, saying, I don't think he's been that great. He's been all right. I don't think he's better than Partey, and I don't like him defensively. He loses the ball a lot, and I totally disagree. I think he's been very, very good. I think he's the reason that we've been able to tick in midfield. I get what they're saying in terms of defensively, he's made some mistakes that have led to goals. He was the give away the ball stupidly, and I know we didn't expect Szoboszlai to put it in top bins at Anfield, but obviously Zubimendi was at fault for the reason that foul was given away. And there's been a couple of times Zubimendi's gone a little bit more invisible in games when we've quite needed him, but that's going to happen with footballers. But mate, I've been a big fan of Zubimendi, and the reason I think he's important is I don't think we've got another player that does that role alongside him. Norgard is not Zubimendi. Marino is not Zubimendi. We don't know if Miles Lewis-Skelly is, because he doesn't seem to want to play in there. But if I'm honest with you, there's only really Miles Lewis-Skelly that I would say would have confidence in if Rice or Zubimendi were to get injured. So I'm going to say that he is massively important, that we keep him fit. So that's where I'm at, and that's why he gets in at number 3. The honourable mention was going to be Timber, but I do think if we was to lose Timber, Ben White would come in and he's shown what he can do. He's just nowhere near as good as Timber. Timber is mustard, mate. Absolute mustard. And for me, one of the best, if not the best, right back in Europe. I do think that Hakimi and Trent and Reece James are all going to have that conversation with him. But I truly don't know that there's another player like Julian Timber. Can Hakimi play centre-back and left-back? I haven't seen it. Timber can. Can Trent? I don't think so. Can Reece James? Well, to be fair, Reece James has shown this versatility and he's a bit more of a utility man for Chelsea. He goes into midfield and I think his delivery is better. He's the only one who can talk to him, really, in my opinion, because I think Timber's better than Hakimi defensively. Certainly going forward, Hakimi's a monster, but, and Trent, likewise, he can't talk to Timber defensively. So Timber deserves a mention, and it was going to be him, but I have gone with Zubimendi.
Hold on. Save your honourable mentions to the end, because...
Okay, go on.
Yeah, because... I was so engrossed in what you were saying about Zubimendi that I fell into the Timber conversation, and I was just wondering, were you talking about him being an honourable mention though because of the way he inverts now and how that works with Zubi, or what's the do you feel that like
with Timber
on that right side? Yeah.
So what's really quite interesting to me is a lot of people miss Ben White and Saka because the telepathy's there. And I get that. We've seen in the last couple of games that it's still there. But I think Timber has improved immensely going forward this season for Arsenal. And like you say, there's been that kind of link-up play with Zubimendi, and I think the right-hand side's still been strong. I've been complimentary of Arsenal's left-hand side this season for the first time in what feels like forever, because I feel like it has improved. I think Calafiori is a massive part of the reason of why that is as well. But Timber's been brilliant for Arsenal so good. I mean, he's been an unbelievable signing. I'll probably say there's only Gabriel I'd put ahead of him so far as been one of Arteta's best signings. I honestly believe that. I can't believe how good he's been. Like, I knew he was a good player, and I was actually really excited when we signed him. And a lot of people said, I didn't know you watched the Dutch league. I said, I don't, but I've seen enough of this kid to know he's a good player. he is so much better than I even thought he was going to be. And I thought he was going to be an excellent signing. And I remember when he went down with an ACL and I thought, oh, here we go. This is just not what we need now. I imagine what he'd be like if he didn't have that. I mean, it's absolutely incredible.
I feel like that season, if Timber was in our team, that we certainly could have won the title. For me, he's the best right back in the world right now. For me, he's been our most consistent player probably for the majority of the season so far. And the way he's evolved his game with the inverting is unbelievable. Like last season, I think the biggest thing that people were missing was that burst, that run, the Benjamin White Saka combination that you talk about, Dan. But the way Timber has found himself in forward positions this season, at times I think twice maybe taking the ball away from Victor Gyökeres unnecessarily, but then that's down to Victor Gyökeres to find his voice in the team and be more vocal. But yeah, he's been brilliant. He really has. Just I can't imagine us moving forward this season without Yuri and Timber having a big say in this team. All right, Pottsy. Number 2.
Number 2 is Big Gabriel. I don't think it's a shock, to be honest. I think he's been outstanding this season. And I think he'll be remembered as moments, St. James Park. He's been unbelievable from set pieces. And I think sometimes people look at Gabriel now and think, oh, he's the guy who scores the headers from the corner. Well, actually, it takes away what he does defensively for Arsenal as well, because I think he's been brilliant. He's the player in the last 5-6 years that I am most proud of showing off. Because when he first arrived, I thought he was a very good player. I heard a lot about him in France and thought, oh, we got this player from Brazil who's supposed to be very good, and hopefully he'll be an upgrade on what we've got, which of course won't be hard. And I thought he was very good, but he had that bozo moment. And I thought, oh, come on, man, you got to iron them out. And for the last 2 or 3 seasons, I think he has. He's been a compliment to William Saliba. It is by far the best partnership in the world. I truly believe that what Gabriel has brought to Arsenal has been something that a lot of the rival fans are massively jealous of. I know a lot of people that come on my show say, oh, Gabriel, I love him. I don't want to love him, but I do love him. Like, from corners, that's all I do. At the Emirates now, so if we get a set piece or a corner, I look at number 6. I don't need to look at anyone else. I just look, where's the number 6 on the back? There he is. Oh, I don't look at any other player. I don't look at Rice or Saka's delivery. I don't look at any of the other players marking him. I don't look at any of other Arsenal attackers. I just look at Gabriel. And it's wonderful to watch. It's like he is an absolute magician when it comes from set pieces. And it's cheat code because of him. The delivery's got to be there. Take nothing away from Rice or Saka or anyone that of late has delivered one of his Odegaard, not be Madueke, Trossard. But for me, Gabriel is an absolute monster. And I don't know another centre-half that does what he does. Van Dijk's incredible from set pieces. We've seen Tony Adams, John Terry and Rio Ferdinand over the years. But I've got to be honest, I think he might even trump them in terms of scoring from corners.
He does.
And defensively, you've got to give him his flowers too. I think he's been world class, and I do think when you look at centre backs in the world, whether your definition of world class, I never know what the definition of world class is, but he's certainly one of the best top 5 in the centre halves in the world at the moment. I think along with Saliba, you probably have to put Van Dijk and Rudiger and these people in that conversation as well. But I look right now and I think I always do this. I always think if I had all the money in the world, what goalkeeper would I go and buy? What right back would I go and buy? And if I had all the money in the world right now, I'd go and put Saliba and Gabriel and put them together. I wouldn't want Van Dijk, who's aging, or Rudiger, who's aging, or one of the next youngsters coming up. I would want Gabriel and Saliba because their partnership is incredible. And I think that's something we've kind of brushed over because it was Saliba was, Gabriel was there, and Gabriel was playing alongside Ben White. People forget when Saliba was on loan. You know what I mean? No one really saw. Everyone hoped that partnership might be there one day. It is an unbelievable partnership, and I look at the centre halves that Arsenal have had, Tony Adams and Sol Campbell and Bold and Keown, and I think when they get to the end of their careers, Gabriel and Saliba might be mentioned, as long as they win trophies, in the same bracket as some of those names, because I don't think they'll be in. I don't think they would be undeservedly in that category if they go on to win stuff, because I think they've been that good. So, Gabriel for me, he comes in at second place because I think he's that important from set pieces, and defensively his partnership next to Saliba is a must.
I'm working on a couple of shows, and one is a potential legacy in reach. And you bring up a lot of really good points in the sense that, Dan, the potential legacy here for this team is so grand and so great. And you could argue that if this team pulls off a Champions League win, the legacy is it bigger than the Invincibles? Is it bigger than Anfield 89? Because they would have done something no one else in the club has ever done before. Mikel Arteta would have delivered something that no other manager has done before. So the aura of Saliba and Gabriel grows tenfold. And I think you can be great and you can be one of the best in the world without winning something. But eventually you're going to be judged on being great by what's in your trophy cabinet too. People look at Harry Kane differently now. He went to Bayern Munich. He's won some trophies. And the truth of the matter is judgment will come on this team, whether they win a Premier League or a Champions League. And Gabriel and Saliba play a massive, massive part in that for sure. Let me read some of these comments on the last two for you. Cincinnati says, I think Zubimendi is only just getting into his stride. Paddy says Zubimendi plays so much better when Odegaard isn't playing. Kenjin, the Philippines, Zubi-Doo is growing on me. Good player. Tammy's replaced the own goals with Zubi in her top 5, which is good to know. Shaitanya says Zubi will start for Spain alongside Pedri and Rodri. Shaitanya, Zubi is here to stay, win the title, and he's the foundation of a dynasty. He's the best signing of the summer so far, I think, for any club. Title number 14. Hang on. If Zubi's number 3, then one of Rice, Timber, and Big Gabs will miss out. Stay tuned. Mikey B says, look for Saliba, the man mountain, holding up the beach on the goal, on the breach on the goal line. And O'Leary says, Raya, Saliba, Gabriel, Rice is some spine. So lots of folks agreeing. I don't think you can disagree too much with what Dan is saying here. But we do have a number 1 to reveal, and then we'll get to Dan's honorable mentions. Dan. That's good to have some silly fun on a Friday. Number 1.
Number 1 that will not come as a shock to anyone, I don't think, is Declan Rice. The guy is so important to Arsenal. If he does get injured, we've got no other player that can do what he does. We've got no other player that can go box to box like him. And we've definitely got no other player that is as good as him from deliveries, set pieces, and dead ball situations. I think he's been incredible this season. He's my favourite player now. He's just overtaken Bukayo Saka, and I love Bukayo. And I have loved Bukayo for about 4 years. But I just love this guy. Everything about him is exceptional. I love the way he talks. I love his attitude. I love the fact that he had a bit of a scrap with Albert a couple of nights ago. I love the fact that he's not afraid to take anyone on. He's not afraid to say what he believes. And I'm in a position right now where I do think he's one of the best central midfielders in the world. I don't know if he's better than Caicedo, Pedri or Vitinha, but he's certainly in that conversation. And then for me are the best midfielders in the world. So for me, if you want to say he's the best in the world, but you want to start bringing stats up, that's for another show. Right now, I look at what Declan Rice is doing. He's definitely the best midfielder in the league, and he might be the best midfielder in the world. Everything that he's doing is so pivotal to Arsenal. I don't think there's another player that can do what he can do. And if he was to get injured, I think a lot of rival fans would go, Arsenal ain't winning the league. That's why he's number 1. He's definitely the most important player at Arsenal right now. The fact that he can just keep playing and playing and playing really does surprise me because he's got an unbelievable pair of lungs. Like the guy just don't get tired. He's an engine. He don't stop with his going forward. They're like 2 pistons of an engine, I say, him and Zubimendi. One goes forward, one stays, then they switch. And I'm a big fan of what he's done at Arsenal. And a lot of people will say that it was a lot of money. When they said it was a lot of money, they haven't gone and mentioned that again once. And he's now here for the 3rd season. He's been an Arsenal player. And no one's talking about his price tag because they know it was absolutely bang on. He was worth every penny. I love his attitude, mentality. And I know people want him to be the captain. It doesn't actually bother me as much because I don't think you really need the armband to do what you're doing. He doesn't need the armband to lead this team and to get everyone talking. He doesn't need that. Like for me, Thomas Partey gets suspended against PSG, our captain's nowhere to be seen. Declan Rice comes up to him and has a go at him. You know, in the tunnel against Chelsea, you've got him coming up, squaring up to Albert, whatever it was about. They're hugging each other at the end, so it's obviously nothing. Our captain's nowhere to be seen. Gabriel is, though. Like, let's just say it how it is. I don't mind Martin Odegaard. I think he's a bit overrated, but let's be real. He's not important. If we was to lose Martin Odegaard, he doesn't make anywhere near this top 5. In fact, he's probably not even in the top 10. Martin Odegaard. He is not important to Arsenal, in my opinion. He's an okay player. He's quite overrated. He's not a leader. He's not a captain. He might lead by example. But when we went to the Hippodrome and me and Kevin Campbell said that Kieran Tierney should be the captain back then, which at the time was playing every week, and everyone else went for Odegaard. And I thought, really? What the hell did you see? That it was a leadership course for him. And I think it's been proven that he's not really a captain, is he? Like Gabriel and Rice are, yeah? Old
Depends
school.
what your definition of a captain is. I think this is a narrative that is so like overblown, right? Because what I don't think people look at enough, and next time you're there, watch him. Watch how vocal he is during games. Watch how he's trying to push lines, point. People, I think, sometimes mistake the fact that he does have a level of football intelligence where sometimes another player may not be thinking on your level. I really do think he's a super smart footballer, Dan. And a little bit like Ozil, some people think it's a bad pass, but at the same time, it's a pass you should have been on the end of, right? In the case of Odegaard this season, he is playing too slow. He's not moving the ball quick enough. Gyökeres is suffering because of it. We've seen the video evidence of it all. But then we see him playing those 3 games before the last 2. Bang, bang, bang. And I think where people start to have a narrative about him again is, you know, against Chelsea, he didn't show up. Against those big teams, he didn't show up. But he plays like a stallion against a Bournemouth. And he was very, very good in those games. And when you see those glimpses, it frustrates you. But the whole leadership thing, I think that everyone wants a captain to be a Tony Adams at Arsenal, right? Rice is more vocal. He pushes people around. He's unafraid. And I love all of that. And I'm a little bit worried about this narrative people are trying to build, like Rice is arguing with AirPod Albert and Gyökeres and Saka are at it. It's all bullshit to just derail us. And this whole captain discussion, the players will tell you that Odegaard is a leader. He's a quiet leader. He's doing up his laces and people want to make a story out of it because Victor Gyökeres and Big Gabby are having a conversation that seemingly people think is about Saka. It's kind of ridiculous. Sorry.
It's nitpicking. Rival fans will nitpick. I agree with Tony Adams, and I know everyone said it was out of order for Tony, but it's not out of order. He's saying how it is. He sees Gabriel and Rice as captains and leaders. He doesn't see Odegaard as it. And I'm the same as him. I look at him and I watch him and he leads and he's vocal and he leads by the press. He's a role model. He's an example of what the footballer should be. But I want someone to bark orders and get people into space. And when someone's giving it, where's Odegaard? Oh, hiding that. Whereas Gabriel and Rice are like, come on, then, we'll have some. That's what my captain did. When I was playing and I was at nowhere near that level, my captain didn't hide and say, come on, have we got our hair nice? Come on, let's press. It was all getting people's faces and getting people and tell people where they're going. You barking orders, getting people, dragging them by the scruff of the neck, getting us through games, not hiding and stinking out the gaff against Liverpool and Chelsea because it's too big for him. I'm kind of not on the Odegaard bandwagon. I've been flipping and flopping with this guy for 4 years. He's great. No, he's not, Dan. He's great. No, he's not, Dan. And I'm like, maybe he ain't then. Maybe he ain't great.
Do you think Eza should be playing, who hasn't also lit the world on fire?
Probably not at the moment, but I think Odegaard's got one more game against Forest and I think Eza might have to come back in. But I've not been massively impressed with Eza. I think Eza's been what I thought he would be, which is a contributor. I never thought Eza would start and take us to the next level. He wasn't going to be Alexis Sanchez, was he? He was going to come in and be a contributor. So I just don't really... I watched Odegaard against Brighton and I thought, hey, he's turned up. Right, go on and do it again. Oh, he's done it again against Villa. Right, well, Liverpool and Chelsea, don't mess it up. Flopped in both games. It's like, come on, man. Like, why are we doing this? He's so inconsistent. It's like, I need to see this guy, what he was doing in 22-23. And I understand he got injured. He couldn't do it a year after. He got injured, couldn't do it a year after. Now he's injured again. So it's 3 years of injuries. He can't do it again. Like, maybe he's the guy before the guy. So maybe we need a Morgan Rogers. Maybe we need a Cole Palmer. Maybe we need somebody like that. He might be the guy before the guy. He might be the Jesus and Zinchenko. We need to move on and upgrade. I don't know. I hope not. but he don't look to me like the player that I'm looking at going, wow. I mean, look, I've got 5 players and I'm struggling to pick 5. I didn't even think about him. And he's our captain. That's worrying.
That's very worrying. And Chief Like Officer Tammy Steels makes a good point here. We managed without him when he was injured. And also the pod mother is on a point that I have been banging on all season. And this will be whether we win or lose anything, Dan, and that is consistency. And great players, Shaitanya's saying De Bruyne never had a stretch of inconsistent bad games. That's the key for this Arsenal team. K Marlon says Odegaard too quiet and inconsistent. We need someone vocal when things are not working. I think your vocal versus what vocal is in the modern game is very different, guys. And if you go and study and if you just watch Odegaard for a little bit, he does talk to the team. Mikel likes a general out there on the pitch, which is why when Big Gabby was injured and Odegaard was injured and people wanted Declan Rice rested, people were like, why isn't he resting Declan Rice? Because he needs a general out there, his vocal assistant, if you like. If it's not Odegaard, it's Big Gabby. If it's not Big Gabby, it's Declan Rice. And look, when Saka's captain and he's wearing the armband, to me, Dan, that's a marketing thing. Saka's not captain material, but you could say that Saka is in how he plays, in how he puts the team on his shoulders.
And that's
sometimes.
the difference of Mikel Arteta doesn't want a focal point as a number 9, and he doesn't want an old school leader as a captain, which is why our vice captain is Saka, and the one after that is Marino. You know, I'm seeing these people on the pitch thinking, bloody hell, Marino's got the armband ahead of Rice and Gabriel here. What's going on? So I think he doesn't want that old school barking orders. He wants everything calm and everyone like, look at me, and like everyone lead by me. 3, 2, 1, let's press. He wants all that role model stuff, and I think he sees a lot in Odegaard when he was a player. Because Arteta wasn't really a captain who barked orders, was he? He was one who led by example and stuff.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think that's kind of what he sees. But yeah, look, I mean, there's obviously honourable mentions, but Rice for me, 100% is number 1. I think he's so important, mate.
Yeah, and also Dan, with Mikel Arteta, I think that he's trying to, have emotion, but be less emotional this season. And on the pitch, I think that if you have fire in Big Gabby, you have fire in Declan. You need the calmness of a Saka or an Odegaard. And we're going to see he's not been afraid to substitute him this season. He's been totally unafraid to substitute him at the 60-minute mark. Right, before we let Dan duck out, we're going to get his honourable mentions. Super Dan. Get you ready for your Friday night, people.
Yeah, 100%. Look, the first one I'll honourably mention, I've already mentioned, and that's Jurriën Timber. So I'm not going to go in again about that because I did really want to put him in, and he did make my list in the top 5. But I just put Zubimendi in because I just think he's been so vital to us this season. But the other one that I do have to definitely mention is David Raya. Because
I had him ready to go.
Yeah, because without him, we know what happens. We concede goals. Can I just be brutally honest? I didn't want Kepa, and I know why I don't want Kepa. I've seen it. I can't wait for Raya to come back in. I can't have a goalkeeper. I was a calamity for 7 years, and we were all laughing at him. And now he's ours. Oh, he's all right. He's good business. It's £5 million, good business. Would we say that if Harry Maguire come in? Oh, he's good business. He's good back. No, we've been laughing at how bad he is for 7 years. Like, come on, let's just say how it is. I know it's hard to get backup goalkeepers, but we need to do a bit better than Kepa, in my opinion. And I think the last 2 games have proven why. Everyone's saying, Christ, when's Raya back? So he's massively important, David Raya. Again, I think he's very consistent. I think he's been excellent for Arsenal. And I think, everybody loved Ramsdale. We know why. He was great. He was a fan favourite. But straight away, I thought, I don't really like this because I don't think Raya's come in and been levels. But my God, he is. He is absolute levels on Aaron Ramsdale. We all like Ramsdale, right? He's a good goalkeeper, but he ain't the elite level. And I think David Raya is probably the best goalkeeper in the Premier League. Alisson, I think, probably does still take it for his reputation in the last few years. But I think if he was to buy a goalkeeper now with the injuries that Alisson keeps getting, I think you're buying David Raya. So again, I think he's recognised as one of the best. And David Raya deserves a mention because if we did lose him, I think we'd massively feel it. So yeah, touch wood he doesn't get injured because he's been fantastic for us. And I think, I said this not too long ago. when I think of the goalkeepers Arsenal have had that were quality, the John Lukic, the David Seaman, the Jens Lehmann, you can go on into eras where I wasn't even born in. You can think of maybe 5 or 6 world-class saves that they all made. I think David Raya's got 7 or 8 world-class saves already in like 3 seasons. That is a massive compliment because those goalkeepers are like legends at the clubs. So I think if he does win trophies, similarly to how Saliba and Gabriel have been remembered, I think that we could add David Raya into that mix as being Seaman and Lehmann sort of talk. I still think Seaman and Lehmann are better before people lose their heads. But I do think that David Raya will be remembered as one of those kind of categories if we do win trophies, because I think he'll be vital and pivotal to us winning trophies. He's been so good for us.
He really has. Okay, so Potsy's top 5 most important players that we absolutely need in order to make sure that we bag the league between January now and May. Number 5, Saka. Number 4, Saliba. Number 3, Zubimendi. Number 2, Big Gabby. And at number 1, Declan Rice. Honourable mentions to Yurian Timber and David Raya. And like you said, Dan, it's really, really hard, isn't it? Because now we've got ourselves in a position where we have really good squad and squad depth. You could argue that what would it look like without Trossard for the rest of the season? Even Mikel Merino, who comes in and plays a pivotal role. How much have we missed Calafiori on that left side? No doubt about that. I still think Madueke has a huge role to play with his creativity and some of that organized chaos that he creates in his approach play as well. Ben White, being available now and looking at the injuries that we've had, it's so difficult. What roles Kai Havertz going to play, coming back? It's this is the time. Now is the moment. We've got the squad. We've got the depth.
Facts. The squad's there, and there's no excuses. Now we've got to win trophies. Or a trophy. I always say trophies now because we're in for 4. But no, seriously, we've got an unbelievable squad. It's the best it's been in since the Highbury days for me. And they could have kept going. I think what's interesting with my selection is that I haven't gone for all out attackers here. So I haven't spoken about Gyökeres or Havertz or Jesus. I haven't spoken about Trossard or Martinelli. I haven't spoken about Odegaard or Eza. They're all going to play a massive part, as you've said. But I think it's interesting that I see the most important players as the spine and the key individuals, but they are a lot more defense-minded and midfield-minded than they are attack. So that's quite an interesting one for me because I still think the attack's not quite firing yet. And that's mad to say because we're halfway through and we're doing brilliantly. But I think we can go to another level. And I think that we can kill teams off still. So, yeah.
Brilliant. All right, we've gone into added time and we haven't had your sign off, your get off the Pottsy. So what say you this month, Dan? Your get off the Pottsy for everyone, your parting shot.
This one is something that you've spoken about before, and I do usually agree with a lot of what you say. There's only some things that we disagree on, to be fair. This one I so agree with. This Carabao Cup is the most important thing to win for me. Now, that might sound crazy because people might want the Champions League and FA Cups and Premier League over it, and I'd agree with that. I do as well, but that doesn't come first. What comes first is the Carabao Cup, and I think it's massively important that we win this. So I am begging everyone to take this as seriously as hopefully the team and the manager will this season, because for those that poo-poo it and say it's just an energy drink cup, it will give us what we need to go and win again in May. So I really want to win this competition this season. I actually think, do you know what? For the first time, because we're in 1 foot in the final, I'd actually say it's probably more important we win that than we do the FA Cup. Because if we win the Carabao Cup, I feel we'll go and win the league in May. And it won't matter if we don't win the FA Cup. Then it'll be disappointing. But if we've won the other 2, I think we can get by. So for me, I think it will be an unbelievable opportunity for us to get that winning mentality, keep momentum. This team would have then won something. And you can let rival fans laugh, say, well, 6 years for a Carabao Cup. That will come. But then you shut them up in May and say there's a Champions League or there's a Premier League. And I've got more chance than we do that because, someone made a great point on my show yesterday. I think it was George, he's a Spurs fan. He said, whoever wins the Carabao Cup wins the league. City or Arsenal. Whoever wins that wins the league. And I thought, I didn't think about that. That could be true, And I hope it's Arsenal that wins it and we go on again in May and lift someone else. So that's how I'll end, Soph.
Pottsy. reiterating what I have been saying for the last 2 or 3 months. Win that Carabao Cup, and I say they taste that. It'll be like, you could go stay at the I don't know, let's say the Hilton, right, or a nice Marriott, and you're like, oh, this is nice, right? And then you're like, oh, if this is nice, I wonder what it's like at the Four Seasons. And you just got to taste and want more, right? It's just like anything in life. You want to succeed, you want to do well, you want to keep taking steps in the right direction. This team has taken all the steps. Now the final destination is to taste, smell, touch, and win something together. And I really do think that it starts with the Carabao Cup as well. A brilliant one. Well played, Dan. Yes, he's our player of the match for tonight. There's no doubt about that. Pottsy, tell everyone what you've got coming up. I've got your stuff right here up on screen. You can follow Dan. For those listening on audio, it's in the description of the shows on Apple and Spotify as well. And what have you got coming up?
Big up. Yeah, I've literally just dropped a preview of me and Wolfie talking about Arsenal Forest. So that's on 12th Man. There's a show from yesterday, Let's Talk Ball, which was a good one. We had Saeed, we had Flawless, we had Wolfie, George, myself, Hooks. That was a really good show. So yeah, come check it out. I'm on TikTok and Insta on Dan Arsenal 87, and then Football's 12th Man on YouTube. And thanks for having me, so appreciate it.
Always. I'm quite impressed with how you and Harry have stuck it out on the TikTok and grown your audience. It's very impressive.
Yeah,
I gave up after the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I nearly did. And I was like, what is this TikTok thing? Like, apparently, you've got to stick with it. It gets there. I should take it more seriously, really, but I'm more of a YouTuber. But yeah, but if you do want to come follow me, we're clipping stuff up now and putting it on the TikTok channel. So yeah, it's all good.
It's brilliant. Keep up the great work, Pottsy. Make sure that you share your top 5 with us in the YouTube comments on our audio platforms as well. Please go follow Dan. His personal accounts and his show as well. Be back live after the Forest game. You have a prediction for us as you head out, Dan?
Yeah, I think we'll win the game 2-1. It won't be a convincing 3 or 4-0 like we hoped, but I think Sean Dyche ball, low blocks will make it difficult for us. But I'll go for 2-1 Arsenal. Let's be optimistic.
Brilliant. Okay. We will see you after the game at Squaddies. Have a fantastic Friday night, no matter where in this wacky world you are. And don't forget to tell your loved ones you love them.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.